Okay, I want to show you how to make the bat out of my book. I'm not going to do the dual coloring this time like I did for the book. I'm just going to use black. You can use some scrap yarn. You can use any 24 peg loom you want. If you're going to use the 1/2 inch or 5/8 to 3/4 inch gauge, I suggest you use the thicker yarn. And if you are, then you'll want to get full skeins. Then it's not scrap yarn anymore. But I'm going to be using the 24 peg 3/8 inch gauge. I'm going to be using a worsted weight yarn. Okay. And with this pattern, do know that you'll need to click on the info box below to get the wings video. Okay. So here's how we do it. All right, so we're going to start off with the head, and it says we're going to need to work flat. We're going to be working 24 pegs. We're going to be working in the black, and we're going to be doing a drawstring cast on 24 pegs flat. Then we're going to be knitting for 6 rows. Okay. So drawstring cast on means weaving in and out. Weave in and out of every single one. Okay, then we're doing flat, so I need to go back. So, go back the direction you came. Okay, then you're going to toss that over, and knit. And the last one. Okay, so we've done our drawstring cast on flat for 24 pegs. Next, it says to knit row 1 through 6. Okay, so you're going to knit back and forth for 6 rows. Okay, so you're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video, complete your 6 rows, and then when we come back, we'll be ready to start the row that has the ears. Okay, so pause the video and get that much done. Okay, I have completed my 6 rows of knit. Now, what it says to do is to knit 5. All right, so I'm going to knit 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then it says to do an ear. Okay, and then it says that you're going to knit 5 for 4 rows, then knit 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for 4 rows. And then it says to bring the original loops back. So what that means is you want to put a stitch marker on the next 5 stitches. So here is 1. Here is 2. And 3. And 4. And 5. All right. Now, I'm not going to show the other ear, so once I show you this ear, when I tell you to do the ear, you're going to need to come back in this section of the video and repeat it, okay? So I'm not going to show this twice, all right? So we have put 5 stitch markers on. What it says to do is to knit 5 for 4 rows. So here is row 1. Okay, and then here is row 2. Here's row 3. And row 4. Okay, so we've knitted 5 for 4 rows. Then it says to knit 4. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it says to knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Then it says to knit 2. 1, 2. Then knit 1. Then knit 2. 1, 2. Then knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Then knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then knit 5 for 4 rows. Now, what I'm going to tell you, the key is to start with the peg you finish with every time you go to knit 4, knit 3, knit 2, knit 1. Start with the peg you just finished with to go in and go back to the other direction, okay? So you're going to knit 5 for 4 rows. So here is row 1. Here is row 2. Here is row 3. And row 4. Alright. Then it says you want to bring your original loops back. And I'm going to show you how that's done. Alright. So, bring your original loops back on all 5. Here 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. And here is 5. Alright, so you have just made an ear. I'll take those off. So, when I say to go in and do an ear, you're going to come back to this section of the video, alright? Alright, so, let's see if I can pull this out. There you go, you have an ear showing up there. Right there. I know it's hard to see because it's black, but that's the challenge of making out that. Okay, so next thing it says to do is to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you want to go in and in the next 5 stitches work your other ear. Go ahead and pause the video and complete that much. Okay, I finished my other ear, and then to finish up row 7 it says to knit 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. Now it says to knit 5, knit 2 together 5 times, knit 4, and knit 2 together 5 times. All you're doing is getting all your pegs back to 1 stitch, okay? So, and then after that, you're going to knit for 5 rows, okay? So on those ears, you're going to toss both loops over and get it back down to 1 stitch, okay? And then there's your knit 4. And then knit 2 together 5 times. knit 5. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is now you want to knit back and forth for 5 rows, okay? So just knit back and forth for 5 rows, and when we come back, we'll be ready to do row 14. Okay, I have finished my 6 rows. You can see the ears a little easier because you just completed your face area. Okay, so now you want to complete your snout area, and that's called, we're doing an internal decrease, which is where you go from 24 stitches to 12 stitches, okay? And there's multiple ways that you can do it. Because of how I am doing everything, I'm going to lift up 11 stitches, and I'm going to place 11th stitch on the next peg, and then place 2 stitches on each peg after it. So you should have 6 pegs with 2 stitches. Now you can do this, I show this so many different ways, so if you watch my videos you kind of have an idea of how I tend to do this in the different ways, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more is 11. Alright, we're going to pick that up and place it onto the next stitch, which is peg 12. Then you're going to place 2 stitches onto the next peg. And this is kind of soft yarn. So you can place 2 stitches Normally you can do this without this, but this yarn is pretty darn slick. Slicker than I'm used to. Okay, place 2 stitches. And it should be 2 stitches on six pegs. Make sure. Alright. Make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for some reason, let me make sure I haven't dropped a stitch. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. It's like I'm miscounting somewhere because it's supposed to be 2 stitches on 6 pegs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There should be 2 stitches there. There's not. So let me see what's going on here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, people, I have no idea what went wrong. There should have been... Ah, there it is. Found it. How you correct it. You find that stitch. Alright, you'll see your connector here. Grab that connector because it fell through. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to pull that stitch that slipped through on top and then pull that original stitch back over. Alright. And that's how you catch that stitch again. And all you should have to do is move these stitches over. And you should be able to get yourself back again. Okay. Do 2 stitches on every 6 pegs. So you just saw me drop the stitch, pick it back up, and move it over. Wasn't that bad, and I even did it on black yarn. There you go. Alright, because you should have 2 stitches on 6 pegs, okay? Now, I'm going to pick up my 11 stitches again, trying not to drop them. Now, if it is doing this, which it seems to be bent on it, I will show you the other method. Alright, I'll show you the other method since it seems bent. It's just a really slick yarn on these pegs. Normally I'm working with something a little bit more texture, so you're going to just knit those 2 over. I'll show you the other method. You can do it, but you are still going to have to pick up stitches and move them, okay? So just keep that in mind. You may want to go with a little less slick of a yarn. I can't remember which one this one is. It's my scrap box. Okay, so I've knitted over my 6 where I've knitted 2 together. Here is the other option. You pick it up, you move it, you knit the 2 together. You pick it up, you move it, you knit the 2 together, pick up, move, knit the 2 together, and you can do this all the way around the loom, but I'm going to tell you, you need to keep in mind you're going to be picking these stitches up and you're going to be moving them together, and then you're going to be tightening the stitches so that you have that defined area that you need for the snout. Okay. Knit the 2 stitches together, and your last one, lift up, move over, knit the 2 stitches together. Then you're going to pick up all them stitches. When I do it this way all the way across the board, I pick up 6 on the other half, move them in, I pick up 6 on the other side, move them in. So I'm just going to pick all these up, and then I'm going to line them up together. Alright, this should be a little easier, the stitches are looser. Alright, but you are going to need to tighten them. Okay. Alright. So what you want to do is, oops, if we get back, this is not going very smoothly tonight. Normally I'm really smooth with this, but that's what I get for working at 2 in the morning. Okay. Okay. Now you're going to find where that breaking point is. You're going to pull it. Snug up those. It's so slick, it's pulling it from the end. It's crazy. This stuff is... Well, it's giving me such trouble. I wouldn't have said it would have done that. Okay, when you snug that up, it makes a more dramatic area, okay? Alright, so you should have 12 stitches left, okay? Sorry that took so much effort. It doesn't normally. Okay, so now what you want to do is you've done your internal decrease. You're going to do rows 15 through 20, which should be 6 rows. So go ahead and knit back and forth for 20 rows, okay? And my gosh, this stuff's going to drive me nuts through this project. It's going to be this slick. Okay, so pause the video, knit for 6 rows, and when we come back, we'll be ready to finish up the head. Okay, we have finished our rows 15 through 20, and it says you're ready to do a drawstring bind off. And I usually like to go to the opposite side and toss that loop over. I've already cut me a tail. So you're going to drawstring bind off. Now, I'd rather show how to sew it up and all that jazz later. If you're comfortable with my patterns, I'll tell you how to do it, but I'll try to show it later. Okay. Okay, so you're going to pull that tight. And here is your little bat head. Okay, so if you are used to my animals, you want to close up the back of the head using the star method and sew a little bit down, sew up a snout, and if you're going to add eyes, you want to add them lined up with the inside of the straight down. You want to line them up the inside of the ears. Okay. Otherwise, I will show you how to finish assembling the bat a little later. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on the body. And the body says it's circular. You have the option to do it in brown or black. I'm going to do black this time. And you're going to work circular, and you're going to work all 24 pegs, and you're going to do a drawstring cast on 24 pegs circular. So I'm just going to weave in and out all the way around. Okay, so drawstring cast on. And then what it says to do first is to knit rows 1 through 6. Okay. Your body is more complicated than the head. Okay. So at this point it says to knit rows 1 through 6. So go ahead and pause the video and knit for 6 rows. Okay. We'll come back and we'll start on row 7, which is where we're going to add our little feet. Okay, I have finished my 6 rows, and now I am ready to start row 7. And here is how this goes. It says to knit 2. So here's 1 and 2. At this point, you are going to want to put a mark down on this time frame because you're going to be repeating this little foot again, and I'm not going to show that, okay? Again, I'm just going to show it this once because it's an exact same thing. It's just going to be in the next 4 slots, okay? So it says on the foot to knit 4 for 4 rows, knit 3, knit 2, knit 3, knit 4 for 4 rows, bring the original loops back. So to make it easy to bring the original loops back and not have to worry about that, you're going to put a stitch marker in the next 4 stitches, okay? And create your little feet. Okay, now you're going to knit 4 for 4 rows. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is row 1. And then here is row 2. And here is row 3. Here is row 4. Then it says to knit 3. So here's 1, 2, 3. Then it says to knit 2, 1, 2. Then knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Then knit 4 for 4 rows. So here is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then it says to bring the original loops back. So you're going to take your stitch markers and try to make sure they're in order and just bring those loops back. You'll find that is so easy. You have now created a foot and you don't have to sew it up later. Alright, and that is how you do a foot. That's how you do that short row series. Okay, and then it says to do another foot. So what that means is you're going to sit here and you're going to place the 4 stitch markers in the next 4 stitches and do the exact same thing that we just did. Okay, I'm going to tell you to pause the video and complete that much. And then what it says to do is to knit your way around to your starting point again. Okay, so go ahead and repeat what we did here in this next 4 slots. When you've completed that, knit your way around to your starting point. Pause the video and get that much done. Okay, we are on row 8 and it says to knit 2 and then knit 2 together 8 times and then knit 14. And all you're doing is getting your pegs back down to 1 stitch. Okay. Okay, you're going to knit rows 9 through 13. And that'll be 5 rows. So go ahead and pause the video and knit for 5 rows, and then we will come back and do rows 14. Okay, so on the body, what I have just done is I have just completed my rows 9 through 13. And now I'm going to do row 14. Okay, so I'm going to explain what it says to do. It says to knit 11 and wrap and turn. Now, if you're used to doing different short rows, you want to do this in German short rows, you want to do this in any other style short rows, but basically we're doing a series of short rows. And you can kind of get an idea of this, but this is how I do mine for the animals and how it was written. But it's entirely up to you if you're used to doing the short row heel on a sock. This is a similar method, so it's up to you if you want to do a German short row. Okay, so what it says to do is it says to knit 11. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Now, it says to wrap, so you take that working yarn around the back of the next peg and turn. You're going to leave that there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to knit 10 back the other direction. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, then you're going to wrap behind the next peg and turn. Okay, Then it says to knit 9 wrap and turn, knit 8 wrap and turn, knit 7 wrap and turn, knit 6 wrap and turn, knit 6. This is your short row section, okay? So you should have 6 stitches between a whole bunch of wraps and turns. So basically what you're doing is you're knitting over, and you stop just before your wrap and turn, which there you see is my wrap and turn. You're going to take this working yarn behind and in front, okay, and that is another wrap and turn, okay, and you're going to knit. So you should have 2 wrap and turns over here. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your wrap and turn section. And when we come back, we'll be ready to increase back out, and that creates like a little chest area. Okay, so pause the video and get that much done, and we'll be ready to start the next section of row 14. Okay, so what you should have is 3 wrap and turns here, 6 single stitches, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now you end it over here, and 3 wraps and turns over here. Okay, now what it says to do once you did your last wrap and turn and knit 6, you're going to start with the peg you finished with. Okay, so you're going to knit 6, knit 2 together, starting with the peg you finished with. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and knit 2 together. So you've knitted over a wrap and turn. Okay. Then you're going to go and start with the peg you finished with, and you're going to back the other direction. Where it says to knit 7, knit 2 together. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you're going to knit those 2 stitches together. Okay, so you start with the peg you finished with, and you knit back the other direction. You add back in a wrap and turn, and you do this until you have no more wraps and turns. You're just doing 1 wrap and turn, add back in at a time. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your add-ins of wrap and turns, and then we'll be ready to finish row 14 and start on the next section. Okay, I've just knitted in my last wrap and turn, and then what it says after you've knitted 11 and knitted 2 together, you're now going to knit 12. Okay, and then you're going to be able to ready to start rows 15 through 24. Okay, which will finish up the body. And then you're going to need to go in the info box below the video and go and click on the link that says the reptile wing link. Okay, and that's gonna how you're gonna make the wings for the bat. Okay. Okay, and it looks like we are ready to do 10 rows of knit for the body, the rest of the body. Okay. So what you'll want to do is pause the video and complete 10 rows, and then we'll bind off. And then you'll need to go in and look at the wing video, make you 2 wings, and we'll come back and assemble. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, complete your 10 rows. Okay, so I've done the rest of my rows for the body, and it's kind of what you should have. You can see your little feet here, your little stomach area here. Okay, so once you've completed those rows, what it says to do is to drawstring bind off. So cut me a long tail, and I'm just going to go in and flip over and pull through. Okay, So I'm gonna drawstring bind off all of them. All right, and then you'll want to work on your wings. Now that is going to be in the info box below, and it's going to say how to loom knit reptile wings video link. Okay, and you're just going to go over there and you're going to loom knit some wings, and then you'll come back to this video and I will show you how to assemble your bat. Okay, so pause the video, draw string off your body, make your wings so that when we come back we'll be ready to assemble. Okay, so pause the video and get that much done. Okay, it's time to assemble and sew up our little bat here. And as you can see, I've already closed at the bottom and I've already stuffed. Okay, now the trick is not to stuff too much, not to stuff too little, but to stuff just the right amount. And this is what the body looks like. So there's a little bit more belly, there's a little bit more lean, okay? Now, I want to show you how to do that closure that I did on the body. Okay, and it's called how I do it, because when you pull tight, you'll notice there's still an opening there. You can still see my hand. Okay, so what I like to do, and you don't have to do this on the other one, is connect the two halves. So you send the needle through and you connect the two halves. All right, this creates a circle. Okay, so you're going to draw, if you remember as a kid, you could draw a star. You go from the bottom to the top, down at an angle, over, to the side, over to the other side, and then back down again to connect all the lines. Then what you do is you simply pull it. And what you will find, it's closed up. There is no more hole. Okay? Then what I like to do is sew up just a little bit down. Okay, so I'm showing the head, but that's all you need to do when it comes to the body, is do that star method. Okay. Okay, I'm going to knot this off, put the extra inside the head. Okay, so I'm going to take and put my extra inside the head. It's always good to use the excess as stuffing. Makes it easier. Now, there is the back of my head, as you can see. Now I've got to do the front of my head. I cut me an extra long tail, and there is a reason for this. I usually like to go in and do my eyes and that kind of thing. So what you want to do is you want to find your very edges. You don't want to lose the snout. You don't want to make it smaller. Okay. So it's kind of important to find the edge. And I know this is hard to see on the black yarn, but this is a bat for Halloween, so I have to stick with the colors that a bat would typically be. Okay, now that I have completed that, what I want to do is I want to go in and I will stuff my head. Now, if you're making a larger one and you're doing safety eyes, you want to do them now. And what you want to do is you want to find the base of your decrease, and you want to follow that line, that column, down to the base from the inner corner of the ear, and put your eyes there, okay? And that will get that taken care of. Now you want to do a little piece by piece. This is a small animal, so it's going to take so much polyfill. It's the reason why I like making smaller animals. They're more almost like little figurines that you can play with, that children can play with, more like little plastic dolls and stuff that you can get. They just end up being more figurine-like and just slightly bigger. So I always like to make them smaller. And again, stuffing is a art form unto itself. It's learning how to not stuff too much, but stuff the right amount. Okay. So there is our head. Okay. Now, I did cut an extra long one here, but it doesn't look like I actually needed it, because I should have enough to sew my head on. Okay, and naturally you want to line the snout up tip front with the in between the legs. Okay, and you'll want to tighten that up as much as possible. You can take your string and shove it through the top if you'd like, so that you don't have to deal with it, but you don't have to cut it. Always use as extra stuffing. Okay. So what I want to do, and I'll lift the camera up, make this a little easier, is I want to find my center front. So I find my center front, and sometimes all you need to do is follow the column. And I know that's difficult to see with this yarn, and I do apologize, this yarn is difficult to see. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to weave into the head and try to find the edge, and then you're going to weave into the body, and you're going to do this all around. Okay, so weave in, weave in. You're going to do this all the way around. You're weaving in and out. You do want to try to find the most of the edge of the head as possible. It makes a difference. And the top. So, here's what you should have. Alright, now, I didn't put eyes in, but I want to do my eye cinching. Okay, so what I want to do is I like to send it through the back of the neck. Okay, then I want to send the yarn back through, finding the spot that I want. Now I told you to line it up the inside, so somewhere in here. You send the needle through, then you're going to send it back through to the base of the neck. Okay. Then you're going to pull it. And you see that's cinched the eye area. That's not cinched over here. Now you want to send it back up, and you want to find the spot that you need over here. Which is somewhere in here. Pull up, and then pull back through and down again. And then you're going to pull it. And what this does is it refines the area, as you can see. Okay. And then what I'll probably do is add a couple of little rhinestones for eyes. Okay. And there is your little face. Okay, now we're ready to add our wings. And what I'm going to do is send this tail through. And I'm going to cut it. Okay. Now I need to add my wings. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to thread the tail that you cut when you did the drawstring bind off. And this is not an exact science, okay? Now, when it came out, this is the side you saw. But the side you want facing out is actually the negative side, okay? Now, what you want to figure out how to do is to get the middle of the wing sewn onto it, but then how far back you need to go. Okay. Now you can try to do it more this way, where you sew it more straight on back. Okay. From the center out, you can do it that way, or you can try to get where it shows up more. You can do it more at a diagonal, where it's center and back. And I think that that's the method I'm going to want to do, is do center and back. Okay, but it's up to you how you want your wings to look. Okay, so I want my wings to show up more. You can try to do it more this way, but it's up to you how you want to do your wings. Okay, it's entirely up to you how you want to do it, how you want to make it work. You can sit there and you can take both halves and sew them right down the center like that. But I want more wing to show up, so I'm more likely to go this route. Okay, if you want to see that. Alright, you can turn around, gauge what you think of it. Is that what you like? I think I like that pretty well. So I think I'll do an angle. And once you decide, then all you're going to do is sew on the first half. Okay. So you're just going to sit there and sew it down all the way down to the tip. And you're going to end up doing it the same on the other side. So try not to overlap. Try to make sure it'll meet in the middle. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to sew it a little bit on the bottom out. And then I'm going to tie it off and sew the other side on. And then I'm going to hot glue some eyes on. Okay. So then you'll just weave that extra in. And what I like to do is just send that through. Got the tail. And then you'll weave that in. You'll sew the other side on exactly the same. Okay. So you'll sew that on exactly the same. And there is your bat. How you loom knit bat. Okay? So go ahead and finish it up, add your finishing touches however you see fit, and then you're done. That's how you loom knit the bat.